Welcome back. Now, the revelations of alleged budget padding of 3.7 trillion naira and financial misappropriation by Senator Abdul Ningi is still generating reactions across the country. Even though Senator Ningi was not able to prove his allegations when given the opportunity to do so, the image of the Senate and the National Assembly as a whole has, of course, been badly battered by this whole episode. Let's now discuss this and some other issues, some more. Joining me on the show right now is Kassim Afegbua, who is a media consultant and a chieftain of the ruling All Progressives Congress. He's also a former commissioner in Edo State. Mr. Afegbua, thank you very much for joining us on the program. First off, you look at the way this whole thing about the budget padding allegation has played out. I mean, give me your take on the whole thing, the whole drama that we've seen, culminating, of course, in the suspension of Senator Ningi.
Okay, thank you very much, DEJI. And I think this is just a needless drama, if you ask me. If Senator Ningi had taken time ab initio to seek clarification from members of his Senate, and particularly the leadership, he had access to the leadership of the Senate, he had access to the appropriation chairman, he had access to different committees on appropriation, and he ought to have sought clarification on some of these gray areas if he wasn't too sure of what the issues were in terms of how the budgets were captured. And I listened very carefully to Senator Adiola, the chairman of appropriation committee, where he tried to give explanation to the 3.2 trillion that was not expressly captured in the budget, and gave a valid reason that it has to do with the fact that those budgets are captured independently as statutory allocations to the different parastatals agencies and other parastatals of government. And so for me, I think if you are a member of a group, rather than bring out, issues that may not necessarily be captured in a budget, when you have opportunity to raise those kind of concerns and in the executive session, I was expecting that Ningi would explore that kind of platform rather than going to the public to continuously give the Senate a bad name, because Nigerians are very wary of the Senate and they're wary of the House of Reps. They talk all the time about them not fulfilling the obligations as to meet the expectations of Nigerians.
Let me jump in there. Does that now suggest that Senator Ningi may have had some ulterior motives? Because there have been suggestions, and of course you heard the majority leader what he said that day, that that the allegation was essentially not about budget padding, but was about that some people not being happy with the way the election in the Senate actually went. That's the election of the Senate president and other principal officers, the way it went, and that they are still bent on removing the Senate president. And so they are just looking for every opportunity to do that. Do you think this is what the allegation is all about? Because another question too is, why would Senator Ningi decide to investigate a process he took part in? Because he actually took part in the budget making process. So why then did he decide to get a forensic expert to?
Yeah, that's why I just made that point, that when you are a member of a group, you have to explore every opportunity that you have, because you have access to the leadership, you have access to the committee, to ask questions. If you have gray issues, if you have issues that are not explicit enough and to your understanding, you seek further explanation from your colleagues. That's one. Secondly, I equally raise the point that Senator Ningi was just trying to play the devil's advocate. And the ulterior motive behind all of this is the fact that some of them are still nursing the wounds of the defeat of their candidate in June 2023 when the 10th Senate came on stream. I was one of those who said that it was a turn of the South-South geopolitical zone to produce a Senate president, because the last time we had it was about 43 years ago. And so I was very vocal in my agitation for that, even though the Southeast geopolitical zone was also interested. But you know, the understanding from some quarters, particularly from some of the northern senators, as it were then, was that the president of the country is South, the president of the Supreme Court was the Chief Justice of Nigeria from the South, and that the Senate presidency, that's the legislature, who is the chairman of the legislature, should come from the North and all of that. And some of us reminded them that in the immediate past, President Buhari was from the North, the Chief Justice of Nigeria was from the North, and the Senate president was from the North. We didn't cry blue murder. They presided over the three arms of government to the best of their ability, and now we have another precedent. So the point is, we've had scenarios such as having the president from the North, from the CJM from the North, and the Senate president from the North, and heaven didn't fall. So this time, there's a reversal of roles. A Southern president, a Southern CJN, and the Southern Senate president. And so our Northern brothers and senators just have to bear with that. This contest of power acquisition, power distribution, does not necessarily mean that everybody is not involved. It's just a matter of understanding that, okay, this time is just the turn of the South to have to occupy these three sensitive positions, as it were. So what Ningi was trying to do, in my own opinion, was to stir the honestness and bring forward those sentiments, you know, to generate the necessary crisis. But he got bit into his game. I was happy when the other northern senators, you know, were very vehement against his position and disowned him, you know, saying that he was on his own. That's the spirit. That's the spirit of nationalistic patriotism. He raised the point that his constituency got 2 billion votes and some other constituency in the South got 100 and something billion votes and all that vote. You see, in the structure of the Senate or any parliament for that matter is the fact that you must at every time recruit people who are lobbyists. Lobbyists are very strong when it comes to parliamentary engagement. If you want anything and you think that your own lobby will not be strong enough to push it to fruition, you have to seek the services of some people who are professional lobbyists. So a Senate president, for example, will first and foremost want to take care of, you know, expectations from his own constituents, because we're talking about politics here. We're talking about politicians who go and ask for votes. He can't be a Senate president without impacting on the people from his senatorial district or his state, as it were. And you will expect him to go and look elsewhere. If he goes back to ask for votes, they will tell him, when you were Senate president, we didn't see your impact. That's the practical thing. And so when Ahmed Lawa was the Senate president, he took a lot of projects to his state, Yobe.
But another question would be, as a ranking senator in the Senate, how come Senator Ningi was not able to, you know, exert his influence as a ranking senator to probably attract more than he got?
You see, it's more or less about your idiosyncrasies and the nuances that you put on the table. If you're a ranking senator and your behavior or your relationship with your colleagues is not too profound, to the extent that you can exert some pressure to get, you know, more recognition by way of budget allocation to your constituency, you have yourself to blame. It's not about ranking. There could be someone who is just a new entrant into the Senate, who may be loved and admired and knows how to plot his graph around the Senate. You see, every parliamentary procedure or conduct or what have you has to do with how much of influence you can exert, you know, through building friendship, relationship and all of that, to ensure that when things like this come, you'll be able to lobby. It's all over. In the Capitol, in the Congress, in America, anywhere else, you see people lobbying for, you know, recognition for their constituency, certain things to be done in XYZ areas. And so maybe Senator Ningi if he's thinking that he's a ranking senator and he decides to sit back and wanting to be served the menu a la carte, then he will be missing the point altogether. But in the context of parliamentary engagement, people must understand that lobbying is very key and essential.
Do you think the Senate should probably, because there have been growing calls from his constituency and from some groups in the north that the Senate should reconsider and recall him? What's your take on that? Do you think the Senate should probably reconsider?
Yes, I raised the point, I think, either yesterday or 2 days back, that, well, if Senator Ningi has shown any sign of penitence, he should be excused and recalled back and made to, face the Senate and tender an unreserved apology for bringing the Senate to public ignominy and opprobrium. This has nothing to do with ego. It has nothing to do with personality clash. It's just a matter of just understanding that you are first among equals. That's the Senate President now, and that all the other senators are also colleagues. They are equal. So, if you know you have put the Senate, as it were, in bad light by not seeking explanation as to the authenticity of what you were talking about, and you have seen that you actually erred, in terms of procedural, consideration, you have to apologize to them and let's move on. You see, the Senate, this is my personal advice, the Senate must consciously ensure that they improve on their public image and public relations in terms of making Nigerians to see them as a credible platform where the aspirations of the people can be met with respect to lawmaking and also setting agenda for an executive that is ready to deliver on the services. The kind of image that the Senate has, we don't even take time to even rationalize a number of things. Once we hear that it is Senate or House of Rep, we want to just slaughter them without even giving them a thought for explanation. When I listened to Senator Yayi, that's Adeola Olamilekan, I was impressed that offhand he was able to dish out those allocations stating the statutory ministries and the parastatals and agencies, and summing up the figure that Senator Ningi picked hold about. So it's a matter of just apply a little patience, doing due diligence, and ensuring that you're able to ask the right questions. And so I think Senator Ningi should be recalled, but he should make to tender a public apology on the floor of the Senate, and then we'll move on. And these people who are trying to think that they want to impeach the Senate President and all of that, and try to maybe alter the apple cart and see a reversal of role of that position, I'm telling them that they should be cautious, because my group, the South-South Rebirth, we are ready to, occupy the National Assembly if that thing happens. It is the turn of the South-South. It's the treasure base of the country. We deserve to serve as Senate President. We deserve to be included in the whole power equation. When it wasn't our turn, we didn't crucify anybody. Now that it is the turn of the South-South to produce that position, and we have Governor of Edo, people should please accord us some respect and recognition that we are part and parcel of the Nigerian collegiate. And so I'm advocating that they should allow Senator Akpabio to be, let him breathe, let him preside over the Senate. He has his own style. If the style does not agree with your own, you have to look at the bigger picture. He mustn't behave like his predecessors.
The Senate President talks too much, and that he should watch the way he talks, and that, especially when he's sitting on that.
Well, that's a matter of style. If he talks too much, he has advisors who will tell him to apply. If he doesn't talk, they will say he's not talking. Now that he's talking, they say he's talking too much. There's nothing you can do to please the people who have made up their mind on certain things or certain issues. You see, just like Ebenezer Obey will sing that there is nothing you do in the eyes of the people that you please the entire people. There are people who also appreciate him for the fact that he brings some level of comic relief, you know, in the way and manner he talks. You can say that. There are those who also think that the man is very simplistic, that he doesn't carry airs around him. There are others who think that, okay, he talks too much and so he should minimize it. It all depends on what part of the part of the discussion or the narrative that you want to kill behind. But all in all, the man means well. That's the way I see him. He means well. He discusses like every other senator. He doesn't see himself. He's not carrying his shoulders high, you know, as somebody who is Senate president. He talks to his colleagues. He gives them audience. He attends events that they organize individually and collectively. And his office is open to all of them. He doesn't close his doors, you know, against any senator. So they should allow the Senate to be and design, you know, design a proper and better way that the public, you know, will appreciate the work they are doing. Because I know that during the appropriation process, there were a lot of academic exercise that went into this. There are a lot of debate. There are a lot of discussions and all of that. So you don't just write a budget and say you want to pass it and all that. You have to subject it to serious interrogation. You have to dissect all the issues and see which one that fits, you know, into the expectations of the people. And so, for me, I think the Senate is doing a good job. We should just give them a little opportunity to be humans like us. They are subjected to mistakes. They could make mistakes and all of that. But the mistakes might not be that of the heart. It might just be that of the head. And we should allow them an opportunity to also appreciate the effort they are putting into their own assignment. People are already agitating for unicameral legislature. People are agitating for parliamentary government. People are agitating for a new constitution and all of that. DEJI, I want to tell you that it is not about our constitution, whether you write it in a beautiful prose and put provisions there. If the executive arm is not ready to apply 90-100% of the constitution, you may not get the kind of results you are looking for. I think what should bother us is about implementation of the provisions of the constitution at all times. We talk about rule of law, that everybody is equal before the law, but you and I know that everybody is not equal before the law. But it's a provision in the Constitution of 1999 as amended that everybody is equal before the law. And so the implementation process of constitutions and other enabling acts and statutes has more to do with our own idiosyncrasies and nuances than the provisions of the Constitution itself. If people are ready to key in that implementation, I will say yes, before the law, everybody is equal. Whether you are the president, whether you are the vice president, whether you are the senate president, whether you are a commoner, a vulcanizer, hairdresser, or what have you, you will see that there will be a huge level of sanity. But it's not like that in our climate. Okay. Elsewhere, leaders are subjected to serious constitutional, breaches.
I get you. There's something else I would love to talk to you about. I mean, since you're here now, and there's just no way we can avoid this. Let's talk about, so let's talk about your state, Edo State. And of course, and you ran for the governorship ticket of your party. You did not get it eventually. And of course, you saw the way the primary played out. Now, the issues have been resolved. Dennis Idahosa is now the running mate to Okpebolo. You look at how the party was able to resolve that. Give me your take on that, and what does this mean for the APC in Edo State?
Well, first and foremost, let me commend the president of the country, who I see he has a very rich reservoir of what it takes to engage, to dialogue, to consult, and to arrive at decisions that will be binding on everyone involved. Democracy is all about constructive engagement, collective bargaining. You deploy the resource of dialogue, of conversation to address gray areas. So he intervened because the outcome of the primaries was attended by quite a number of bad blood. And so, as the father of the party and father of the nation, he intervened in the whole exercise, called the factors together, called the persons together, and said, well, the overriding interest is that of the party in the state, and since it has come to this level, it's not good for the party to be washing its dirty linen outside. And so, to that extent, Dennis was prevailed upon to withdraw his case from the court and given the slot of deputy governor. I think now we have settled on that. The challenge now is how to move these candidates, present them before the Edo electorates, canvass for their votes, and prepare for the election of September 21st, 2024. We have a Herculean task of ensuring that we are able to defeat the Labour Party and the PDP in the state. And so we already have our candidates now. All of us, we need to rally around the candidates, irrespective of how you feel ab initio. We have let that pass us. For me, I moved on because I don't play politics of bitterness. All the factors are my friends. The candidate is my friend. His deputy is also my friend. I supported his deputy for the ticket, but since it has come to this level, I have no option than to queue behind the candidate of the party and his deputy. And so we are going to go out, design our own campaign strategy of how to ensure that we defeat the ruling party in Edo State as the PDP. The PDP has its own problems. The governor has his problem because he has not performed to the expectation of the people. His candidate is also having his own challenges here and there. Even the choice of the deputy governor was also, wrought with crisis. And so quite a number of issues, quite a number of problems, in all these parties. And so to that extent, we know that APC will actually win the election.
And let me quickly ask you about, because you talked about your friend, so let me quickly ask you about your friend, the incumbent deputy governor, Philip Shaibu. You look at what he's going through in the state at the moment. As we speak, he's facing impeachment, and with the way things are going, you could say that we might be looking at a fait accompli here. He just might be out of office before we know it. What do you make of he's your friend anyway?
Well, we are from the same senatorial district. And the more crisis PDP gets, the better for APC. As a member of APC, I will pray that PDP gets itself enmeshed in one crisis or the other, because they say if one person will not spoil, another person will not go better. So if PDP decides to impeach their deputy governor, we will cultivate him and his supporters to support the APC candidate. The overriding interest for me is to see that APC wins the election, defeat the opponents, both Labour and PDP, and set the state on a new pedestal of development and growth. If you go around those states, in the course of my going around, traveling around all the local governments to campaign, I saw what they call infrastructural decay. I was wondering what the governor has been doing in 8 years running, and it's very easy for us to campaign because we have things to speak to. We have the state is almost like an ungoverned state. You have too much of crisis. The state is in the news for the wrong reasons every now and then. Don't forget that we had 14 members of the assembly whom the governor refused to, inaugurate as members of the state assembly. Don't forget that Edo State for 4 years made laws with 9 members, a minority 9 members of the assembly, making laws for the overall, for the overwhelming people of Edo State. And so you begin to ask yourself, and we just kept quiet as if nothing had happened. That kind of conquistadorial and dictatorial tendencies of a governor is very unbecoming. And so for us at APC, we are going to go all out to campaign. We are going to tell the people what they should expect. There should be some level of emotional intelligence in the way and manner we discover, we engage our people. The governor has been spreading hatred rather than love and unity. We are going to be preaching unity and cohesion. We need state cohesion. We need a robust engagement that will propel governance and deepen the conversation around governance. And so, for me, it's going to be an easy task for us, if you ask me, because Edo people are very enlightened. Edo people are very, very conversant with the issues around them. We have 75% literacy level in the state. Those who cannot articulate good English, they can speak pidgin, they understand what they can use to trade, to interact, and all of that. So our people are so enlightened, and I'm so happy that it's coming to this point, because when we get to the field, we know exactly what to tell the people to ensure that we deliver the votes on September 25th.
Now, finally, before I let you go, let me get your take on the incident that happened at Okwama community in Delta State, where 16 of our soldiers, heroic soldiers, were killed in such a heartbreaking manner. What's your take on that?
Well, thank you very much. It's very touching for me because the commander, Lieutenant Colonel Hassan Ali, happens to be my very good friend. I had spoken to him a week earlier before then, and in our usual manner of interaction and engagement. And so when I woke up on, it was a Friday morning, and I got a message from my cousin that Ali has been killed, I was shocked. That I had to quickly make phone calls here and there. If you know him, he's a man of peace. Aside from being a military officer, he's a very peaceful fellow who likes to explore the resource of dialogue to resolve quite a number of issues. He has fought in Boko Haram conclave, he has fought in Katsina, he has fought in Zamfara. Incidentally, his younger brother, who was also a military officer, died in Zamfara. You know, he has fought in Niger State and all that. And so that news was quite disturbing to me. But that is how life is. You know, one moment you are alive, another moment they say you are gone. But again, like I said in other platforms, we need to continue to engage our civil populace so that people will know their obligations and also know the kind of respect they will accord uniform, personnel, police, army, and civil defense, even customs, and all of that, road safety officers and all of that, because these organizations are meant to make life better for the people.
True.
They are not meant to complicate lives. The military officer is to ensure that he protects the territorial integrity of the country, and when there are communal clashes of the magnitude of the Okwama, the military can be drafted in. The police also, under a democracy, it's a police state. They are the lead agencies in terms of resolving intra and intercommunal clashes and all of that. But what is the role of the citizenry? What's our participation? What are we telling the people? What are the people also looking at when they see a military officer or a soldier or a police officer or a policeman and all that? We need to deepen our conversations around obligations, civic obligations, of the people. And I'm happy that the president had said that they should investigate. They should do a holistic investigation that to speak truth to the reality, what exactly took place. I was happy this morning, I was reading in one platform that 3 of the members of those culprits have been arrested. That's cheering news. I think they should make sure that they arrest everybody involved and make them to face the full wrath of the law. Moving forward, there has to be a deeper conversation around military civil relations, police civil relations, and all of that, because we are praying for a better country. We should also be preaching love and harmony. What will warrant an Okwama community and Okolova community to engage in this kind of intercommunal clashes to the extent that 16 lives of the military were claimed. And so we need to preach love. We need to preach affection. We need to preach cohesion. We need to see ourselves as Nigerians, brothers and sisters who are populating the same political landscape or geographical landscape. And so when we see issues such as this, we know that, this is a federal institution. Yeah. We shouldn't be seen to be attacking soldiers, attacking police, attacking civil defense and all of that. Because when there is stability, that is the only atmosphere under which democracy can flourish. That is the only atmosphere where even government can attempt to deliver on its promise to the people. But when there is crisis, when there are protestations here and there, there's violence here and there, it will definitely hurt the process of delivering the essential services that the people require.
All right, Kassim Afegbua, media consultant and the chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, thank you very much for coming on the program, and thank you for sharing your time with us.
Yes, and I want to commend you for all the good work you are doing.
Thank you very much. All right, that's how much we can take on the program, but thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.